Good morning, everyone. Scooter coming to you live from the Granville Guitars World Headquarters here in lovely St. Petersburg, Florida. Today is March the 22nd of 2021. We've fully been immersed in the hell of the coronavirus madness for a year now. Trying not to think about that too much. So, yeah, we got crazy things going on here in the shop. Don't do too many guitar videos these days because I don't do too many guitar builds, actually. It requires time and in a lot of cases tools that I don't have access to. I used to have access to a wood shop, but for the last 7 years in this location, it's not been practical or allowed. So I've been having to rely on outside sources for a lot of my woodworking. You've probably seen my Lucy Telecaster style guitar, and we'll take a peek at Lucy here in just a little bit. I bought these two bodies and two necks at the same time, and the bodies were rough cut. I actually had to round them off and put tummy cuts in. What you're looking at right here is the Linus guitar, which I've just completed, and I wanted to shoot a quick video of it before it heads off to its new home in Texas. And essentially what we've got here is the bodies of these two guitars are the same. 3-piece alder back, mated to a 1/4-inch flame maple top. And this one has been finished with many, many coats of flat lacquer. And I worked really hard on it. Or not flat. That used to be the way we said it. It's matte finished lacquer. I'm really happy with how the look turned out. I did stain it with some golden oak stain to give it a little bit of color and a little bit of pop to the grain. We'll just go down the various features here. It's a Fender bridge that was given to me by my friend Jerry Outlaw. It's got compensated brass saddles. In my opinion, the only way to get the actual true Telecaster tone is with the 3 brass saddles. That's where a lot of the true tone of the guitar lies, is in that configuration. And these are compensated to allow you to intonate fairly well in most cases. In the case of this guitar, it's nearly perfect. I was very pleased with that. So the pickups are Granville pickups that I wound myself. They've been kicking around my shop for a while. I had to wind a set of pickups for a customer a couple of years ago. And I figured, gee, while I'm winding 2, I might as well wind 6. So I wound 3 sets. And this is, the bridge pickup is named Adam, and the neck pickup is named Eve. They're a little bit hotter than vintage. The bridge pickup is like 775K of DC output, and the neck pickup is like around 7 of DC output, DC resistance rather, which is not an exact measurement of pickup output, but it's a nice thick sounding pickup, but it's got a lot of twang. It's a real twangy guitar. The maple top gives it a lot of that. The alder warms it up some, but it's, with the maple neck, which we'll talk about here in a second, it's a real twangy, bright guitar, which I like because it's easier to make a twangy guitar mellow than it is to make a mellow guitar twangy. So that's the direction I prefer to go. We got Q-Parts knobs up here, which I like very much. They're tastefully decorative. And they're nice heavy brass. We got a Switchcraft 3-way switch, Danny Gatton style. Do a Gibson switch in these. The pickguard is from our friends at WD Music. It's a Bakelite 5-screw pickguard. Has to be 5 screws. The moment you put a screw in the middle of this curve right here, you completely wreck the curves right here. This looks like a woman's back. And if you stick a screw right there, it's like a tramp stamp, and I'm not a fan of that. I know why they did the 11-screw pick guard. It was to hold it down a little better, but if you install a 5-screw correctly and you carefully screw it down to exactly the right position, shouldn't be any problems with it. Let's flip it over real quick and look at the back here. the back is quite attractive for alder, and you can see here I did a tummy cut in the back, give it just a little bit of comfort. And there's your back panel with access to the fully shielded control cavity. I'm a big fan of the shielding paint over the shielding tape. Shielding tape works best for me on flat surfaces like pick guards and control cavity covers and things like that. The actual cavities of the body, you need to use the shielding paint, I think. The reason why it's not in as much favor as it probably should be, in my opinion, is that it takes time and patience. You can't just slop it in there and immediately go on with your life. You have to put on a coat and let it cure for 24 hours. And then another coat and let that cure for 24 hours. And in my opinion, 4 coats is the minimum, and you need to check that with a resistance meter and get that thing under 20 ohms if you can. So anyway, bolt-on neck, of course, because we're in a Telecaster mode here. Standard style of bridge plate. Now, I did use the Bill Kirchen neck mod. For further information on that, you can check out our blog, A View from the Granville Bench, over at WordPress. And this tripod is really messing with me today. There we go. That will describe this better. Essentially, it's a stainless steel bolt that screws into a threaded insert that goes into the neck. And what it does is it gives you a much tighter neck joint for a bolt-on neck. It also improves the tone quite a bit as a result of that. And also, you can take the neck on and off this guitar at will as many times as you want to. It does have the truss rod adjustment at the heel, but since I used the into the wood method of mounting the neck pickup, the pickguard on this guitar is effectively a truss rod cover. You could pop it off and get access to that truss rod if necessary. So as we go up the guitar a bit here, you can see the neck. The neck is a single piece of maple. I'm a real big fan of one-piece maple necks. The Clapton Stratocaster, which you may see in an upcoming video here, is, to my way of thinking, the ultimate expression of the Stratocaster art. It has a one-piece maple neck, and that contributes to its sound a lot. I think you lose a little something with a fretboard. I do happen to love rosewood fretboards. As a matter of fact, the Lucy guitar that I mentioned earlier has a rosewood fretboard on a maple neck, and I love that guitar. But the one-piece maple neck has got a lot going for it and a lot to recommend it. So, of course, we have the walnut skunk stripe. That was where the truss rod was installed. And like I said, one-piece maple neck. What I did to finish this neck is very simple. I stained it with some golden oak stain, and then I did a single coat of linseed oil, cold-pressed linseed oil, the same stuff I used to treat fretboards with. And it produces this extremely nice, smooth, satiny finish that feels like wood, but it actually has a protective layer on there that will protect the wood. Not as protective, obviously, as a lacquered finish, but there is a level of protection there. So coming up to the headstock here, we can see the Kluson Revolution tuners. I'm a real big fan of these tuners. They drop right into the same holes as a vintage style Kluson tuner, but they give you 19:1 gear ratio and better performance and staggered posts, eliminating the need for a string tree in most cases. The headstock was finished with 20 coats of nitrocellulose lacquer, 3 coats of sealer, followed by 17 coats of lacquer. And I used the aged tint, not the amber tint. I used the aged tint. The amber tint would have made that headstock way darker. And if we flip it over, you can see with the staggered posts, we don't have to use a string tree because we get good downward pressure on the top couple of strings without a string tree. And that's good because that prevents tuning issues as a result of being hanging up in the string trees. String trees are fine for guitars that need them. You have to take some precautions. They need to be polished and lubricated, and some care needs to be taken with them. Bone nut that I cut myself. Fret wire is a medium fret wire. Not too big, not too small. A little on the tall side. But that gives the player quite a good degree of control over tonality, vibrato, etc., I feel. And it gives you a classic feel to the whole fretboard. This guitar is actually going out to a fine player, and I think he's going to get good results out of it because of that. But it sounds wonderful. It sounds absolutely beautiful. I posted a couple of play videos this last week, and they were just impromptu living room and fire pit videos, but you get an idea how resonant and beautiful this guitar sounds. Hopefully he'll post something on the other end when he receives it, but that's about it for this little video. Just wanted to show off the Granville Linus guitar before it goes in the box and heads out to its new owner. If you have any questions about anything we do here at Granville Guitars, seek us out on the web at www.granvilleguitars.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram, and the blog that I mentioned earlier is over on WordPress, A View from the Granville Bench. That's all I know for today. Be good to one another.